Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
How's it going, my friend?
It's good. Good.
It's good?
Yeah.
Weather is getting a little warmer.
It's good. Yeah. Warmer. It's wet still a little bit, but it's good.
Yes. All nice things happening outside right now. Hopefully everybody gets a chance to get out as things start getting a little bit better, maybe a little bit more open where you're at. Hoping everybody's starting to get vaccinated and stuff like that. So thanks for joining us. This is Inside the Force. Whether or not you're on the podcast feeds or on YouTube, thanks for joining us, watching or listening. This episode, this is episode 323. I was actually going to hold off and do something like this at 325, a little bit more of an anniversary episode, but it doesn't matter. It is a kind of a slow Star Wars news week, so we'll breeze through some of those. And then actually I want to focus a little bit more about Casey and I, about the show and kind of the new things we're doing on YouTube and some of the shows we got going on there, just to kind of remind everybody how we've got set up, because we haven't done that in a while. We've been going hardcore at this every week, roughly, for several years, and I know we're constantly, hopefully, getting introduced to new listeners. You know, I see some numbers upticking here and there, so it's like, hopefully, maybe you're going back and listening to older shows, but if not, then let's give you a recap of what we've kind of done. So we'll get into that a little bit later on the episode. So. Right now, though, a couple little small stories have to do with the Mandalorian that's been coming out this past week. For one, congratulations, of course, to Jon Favreau. He got nominated for the GGA for Best Director for Chapter 9 of Mandalorian Season 2, which was the Marshal. And, of course, the Crate Dragon. Yeah. Right.
Nice, yes. Definitely a, I guess, groundbreaking in some smaller senses, but it's good. Yeah, very good.
The reintroduction of Boba Fett's armor.
Yeah, Boba Fett, the Cobb Vanth, and the Crate Dragons. Three pretty cool things that we not completely haven't seen, but
right.
Like we've seen Boba Fett, but haven't seen him return from the dead before.
Yeah, not by Tamora Morrison anyway either.
Yeah.
So that's out there for the GGA awards. So Favreau is getting recognized. That's fantastic. But a little bit on the bummer news, the visual guide for Mandalorian, as well as the novel that was announced, has now been canceled. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I meant to look back at it to reread to see if it really, when it says cancel, do you really mean cancel or postponed?
Cancel, I think it's not coming. I think it's not coming out anymore. Yeah.
I mean, because they're for sure going to do a Mandalorian visual dictionary. That would be unprecedented if they don't ever do one. Maybe it's just this one, which would cover, maybe they're waiting for it to be complete, but because it's you have to have a visual dictionary for a show.
I guess. I don't know if they fully did. I think there's something out there from Rebels, but I don't think it's from at the end of the series. So there's a lot of stuff that's not in it.
Maybe,
for some reason, I feel like it came out like midway through the series.
Yeah, and that was a little weird and different, but still, it's like gotta have something.
You do have to have something. I think the question becomes. I feel like the question becomes: does this have anything to do with Cara Dune not being involved in the series anymore?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the timing definitely it seems very coincidental.
Right. So is there now the novel? I don't know. Of course, no one knows really besides Lucasfilm what the novel is going to be about.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it weighed heavily with her character. Maybe the visual guide had things in there that, extended things about her character. or like you said, I think it is safe to say that maybe why. Well, I don't know, because you would make money twice if you release one now and then release one later, updating it. But if you waited until maybe this series is over and then had one big one, but apparently the visual guide was again going to be written by Pablo Hidalgo, who's been doing these visual dictionaries for the films
Forever.
that way. I know, forever, right?
Yeah.
So it is curious. It's curious that it's the visual guide and the novel, not just one of them.
Yeah, I actually hadn't read the novel, but I read the visual dictionary headline. So, yeah, I mean, if it has something to do with Cardoon, then I guess that would be that's surprising to me that they would cancel any and all stories on every platform, if that's the thinking, which we're getting into speculation. But I mean,
yes,
you can lose sleep thinking over it's like, is Disney really going that route? But
right,
don't know. I like to think they aren't, but help me sleep at night.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that what's weird. Well, what was strange was I don't have it pulled up or anything, but DK, who does the visual guides, and then of course Del Rey does the novels. DK released, the statement on Twitter, and it read, this will be and Del Rey put out the same one. It's the same exact release, except it just replaced the visual guide with the novel.
Yeah,
it's the same wording and everything. So it definitely was a joint. For some reason, it seemed like a joint decision by Lucasfilm to say, we're not putting this out. We're not putting this out.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I think of for being canceled is, well, the book at least, is that if it did have to do with Cara Dune and it led into the next season for a storyline with her character, But if it's like the visual dictionary, I really don't see how that has anything to do with her character, because it's just giving what's already out there. You're only fleshing out her character that has already been made public, So future stories, I can see that happening, but
yeah,
I can only hope, the visual dictionary is being held off just because it needs to be more complete, which I prefer. I don't like. I think it's kind of a weird practice to come out with a visual dictionary, whatever, halfway through a series or whatever. So I want the whole. It's just I want the whole thing. But
well, here's actually the tweet I was talking about from Del Rey a couple of days ago. It says, due to the ever expanding world of the Mandalorian, we will no longer be publishing the Mandalorian original novel at this time, as the story continues to unfold on screen. So DK put out the same exact tweet saying, instead of the Mandalorian original novel, it said the Mandalorian visual guide.
Well, to me, that doesn't even say canceled. I don't know. That to me, that did come out at this time. That's
we will no longer be publishing. Yes.
If it says at this time, that to me it just means postponed. I mean, again, the novel, I can totally buy it. That dealt a lot with future stories. I could tie it into future stories in some capacity. So I'm sure that is just a nice way of saying it's like throw it out completely, rewrite it, new story, or just no book at all. But
yeah. I mean, again, you can take it as maybe it's something to do with Cara Dune, or it has something to do with something that changed. Because it's easily speculation that the novel possibly was going somewhere with Din Djarin or with other characters in the series, and it could have easily all of a sudden. Because obviously the book has been probably in the works, right?
Right.
Well, then all of a sudden, what's coming up? They're getting ready to shoot season 3. Well, something could have come up in season 3, and they were like, wait a minute. We don't want to be restricted because of what was just written in the novel.
Yeah.
So don't publish the novel because we're changing what's happening in that. And therefore there's that chain reaction then, right? Because then it's probably already printed maybe in the visual guide, something that's already
true.
getting, retconned by what's writing in season 3. So
that's true.
It could be nothing to do with Cardoon, which probably isn't, but
I still am uneasy about even that reasoning, just because, again, it's just cutting the legs out from stories, from these authors. But I mean, there's probably just no way around it that the big screen, small screen stories will just take precedence no matter what. They'll just do what they have to do to make sure every story coincides with what's being told. Unfortunate, but I get it, and it's just kind of, I guess, the nature of the beast. But hopefully it'll be a better story.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but you gave me a great opening to do this. So I just talked to Claudia Gray today for our new series, Masters of the Order, that is currently running right now. And I will say one tidbit of exactly what you just said. One the discussion we got into was about restrictions, about how much does she have to talk to Lucasfilm, about doing certain things. And she said, well, constantly, it's constant in the beginning. And then she says she turns in, before she gets to fully writing, she turns in a final outline. And that has to pretty much get approved before she goes and writes. But she said, for example, I think it was Lost Stars. She said, I was writing a scene in there, or a chapter in there, and I mentioned Vader's Star Destroyer, right? Not the Executor. No, because this was
Vengeance.
I think it was I can't remember, actually. I don't know why I can't remember what Star Destroyer he had beforehand. But anyway, she mentions the Star Destroyer, and they said they said, yeah, it's not there. She's like, well, it's a Star Destroyer, it could be anywhere, right? And he's like, yeah, but at that point in time, it's not there.
We know this.
So she had to change the name of the Star Destroyer at that point in time, which I thought, again, it does show you that they're trying to stay consistent, but like you said, it does hinder an author's ability.
Yeah, well, a little bit. There was that story that came out with Force Collector that apparently that author had to rewrite the last act of their story,
right?
Because it's apparently coincided heavily with Rise of Skywalker. So it's so I'm very curious to know exactly what that original last act was about. But and then that's also a lot of things that we've been reading in the news about the game side of Star Wars with EA and some of the other companies working on it. It's just especially with games, since that is such a long process, it is very difficult, from what we read, for these game developers and creatives to try to come up with a good story for Lucasfilm, and it just takes a while. It just takes a long while, and then then they're so restricted. So yeah, I mean, again, I get it, but it would be nice if the authors had more free reign. I mean, that's probably the beauty of High Republic, is they have pretty much, seems like they pretty much have free reign to create this era. The authors do, because they're not beholden to necessarily a bigger property. Now, the Acolyte show, maybe that is starting to that maybe that'll have some ramifications for what kind of stories they can tell in High Republic. But again, they're building that from the ground up, so maybe there already is that established through line of all these phases leading up to Acolyte. That now it's already hopefully all planned, that nothing's going to be contradicting. But so yeah, again,
that's just a lot. Yeah, it's just a lot of details, of details to follow, and it's somewhat amazing that they've done a decent job at this point. I feel like,
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I
totally.
mean? With all the comics and books that are out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, and it's always a question, like you said, with the games, you know, you bring a game like Jedi Fallen Order in where you're introducing a Padawan that survived.
Yeah.
That's just, that's opening up a chain reaction of different possibilities, you know, of okay, so the Jedi weren't that killed off, right? If all these Jedi start, you know, but
what was Yoda talking about? Yoda does not know what he's talking about.
You know, it's funny. Oh gosh, where is that from? I just read something recently. It was actually, I think it was on StarWars.com where they're yes. Let me see if I pull that up. Jedi, on StarWars.com, there's a, you know, when you look at the data bank, right? And because I was reading this about the Jedi Order. In fact, I think it's on my phone still. I think. I wanted to go over this with you because I thought this was interesting. How if you look at the Jedi Order, it has at the bottom, when you scroll down, it has a history, right? It goes through Fall of the Republic, Dark Times, the Galactic Civil War. Well, the Galactic Civil War, the Dark Times, was it this? Oh man, maybe it wasn't this. I saw something on here. Where Luke's setbacks. I don't know. I can't remember. There was something I read where it was like, you know, at the point of this part in time, you know, Luke, Obi-Wan and Yoda were the last of the Jedi. Oh, and there were a couple others that survived, or something like that, right? It was something
that one,
very vague. These weren't the only ones that survived. There were other ones. It was. I think it was. Maybe it was under the Clone Wars. In reality, pulled the Jedi served, but you know, I don't know. I'll see if I can have to find it again at some point. But it was really worded, really like, oh, here it is. I found it. It's under the Dark Times. It says, while the Sith had gained control of the galaxy, Jedi Masters Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi survived the Purge, as did a few others.
Yeah.
So it's like they're never going to identify how many actually survived. Because that would then restrict them from introducing new Jedi. So Jedi Fallen Order can happen. You know, that list of names that you see in the comics, you know, it's like those could be justified because they all aren't accounted for in death, you know. So,
well, it's even, you know, it's now got precedence where even when Luke says it in Last Jedi, like, she will not be the last Jedi, whatever, you know, referring to Rey, but it's like, well, even besides Rey, who knows?
Who knows who's out there, right? Yeah,
there could be tons out there.
Yeah, because is he even sure that all of his students were killed? Because
who knows?
Because some were still coming off world when the whole temple was destroyed or whatever. Anyway. So anyway, I don't know who's keeping track of that, but you know, good luck.
Yeah.
So anyway, visual guide it could be many reasons why that's not coming out. Hopefully we do get it at some point when the series is wrapped. I'm with you. I feel like I don't know why you wouldn't wait till then anyway when it's fully completed, but because things like this could change. I mean, season 3, season 4, they're not written yet fully. I mean, 3 is, I'm sure now, but you know, you never know what's going to happen and where these characters are going to go.
Yeah.
Speaking of where this could go, you know, a lot of talk over the past few years. If you've been on and off Twitter or social media about Lucasfilm, of course, you've probably heard or seen many people speaking about Kathleen Kennedy and whether or not she should be leading Lucasfilm or not. On the annual shareholders meeting, the other day, CEO Bob Chapek, not Bob Iger, he is no longer the CEO, he is the chairman, but Bob Chapek, who is now the CEO of Disney, unfortunately, he took the job right when COVID hit, so he had a rough year. Although Disney's stock has just increased immensely with Disney Plus, obviously. Unbelievable with Disneyland. I mean, Disneyland is just now getting ready to reopen. It hasn't been open for over a year. But anyway, he assured people on that call that Kathleen Kennedy is not going anywhere. She's still going to be leading Lucasfilm for many years to come. What do you think? What do you think about the news?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I actually loved how he said it. Even like the quotes that I did read, it was almost as if it was like a no-brainer answer. It's like as his answer was almost like, actually, I'm very excited about what she's done with us, and looking forward to many years to come with working with Kathleen Kennedy. So it was just a total, just a slap in the face of all these people online that are saying like, oh, I think she's going to leave. Oh, she's going to be fired. Yeah, Dave Filoni is going to take over. It's inevitable, kind of those kind of things. And this guy pretty much squashed that completely.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I think. Look, I think there has been articles also that have come out recently. I feel like that I've read. People are so quick to assume right away that the Mandalorian is all because of Favreau and Filoni. Now, granted, they are a big part of the production part of it, but what I think people fail to realize is that like all these stories, I mean, it has to be approved by Kathleen. It's none of these people doing anything without Kathleen Kennedy knowing and okaying it, right? So I think I've read articles that have come out that says she was actually a big part of getting Favreau and Filoni to shape this show the way it is, right? I mean, she is by far, easily, hands down, one of the most successful producers in the history of cinema.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's hard to say that she's not a good storyteller.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that she's not a good filmmaker. And no filmmaker no filmmaker puts out perfect stories and perfect content all the time, right? I mean, you're going to have some misses. So, now you could definitely make the argument that maybe she's not as well versed maybe into the Star Wars universe as you would a Filoni that has worked some, completely side by side, but next to someone like Lucas for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, a lot of people are, a lot of people do blame her for the way they feel about the sequel trilogy. But they don't ever give her credit for successes like The Mandalorian, right? And I think you can't do both of those.
Right. Yeah. Which so, as her as being the leader, should get props or should fall on both of those swords, kind of a thing.
Right.
Like being a leader, yes, she would be, I don't know, be partially responsible for failures and successes. I mean, because she is the leader. So, but the failure, to use that word, is subjective for a lot of people. So
100%.
I mean, I'm wearing the Last Jedi shirt, but it's which certainly I've grown to like a lot more.
Yes.
Since Rise of Skywalker came out, but people, it's like their favorite Star Wars movie. So there's many people who praise the sequel trilogy. So it really is a subjective perspective. So she's you cannot discredit her success, and because it's scientifically proven that she is a successful producer. So
yeah, absolutely.
But that's why she is a good leader, because she is putting good people in these projects. Even Ryan Johnson, it's she certainly saw something in him and let him take the reins of that story. And from what little we've heard, he still potentially has a foot in the door to tell more stories, and so she knows what she's doing. And if you watch the Mandalorian Galleries, the first season there, she hearing her how she talks about the show and just the like you said, like filmmaking in general, like she knows her stuff and she knows how to do it. And even the movies that she has been a part of, those themes, all of those themes of those movies have coincide with Star Wars. So she gets kind of that that mythology and that theme. But yeah, if it's the details of the canon aspect and kind of how the world plays with these themes, then that's certainly the writers and the filmmakers in front of these projects, which again, she is hiring the right people. So
that's right. Yeah, as a producer, which I think that's what she's, even though she's the president of Lucasfilm, sure. I think she still acts as a producer in a sense, an executive producer, because what the main thing a producer is doing, for those of you who know, I'm kind of just repeating this, but for those of you that don't, I mean, producers are the ones that are finding the stories that they want to tell, right? If most of them are finding, that's why you see books turn into movies a lot. Producers are reading books and they're saying, I want to adapt this story into a film. And then, but most producers aren't writers. Most producers aren't directors. Right. And like you said, they got to go find the people to do those things, right? They find a screenwriter to adapt this or write the story that they want. And then they find a director that's going to translate that script into the screen. And so that's what I feel like she's still doing, even though she's running the company. But she's done that her whole career. And luckily she's had someone like Spielberg mainly to lean on to translate those stories. But yeah, she's done some amazing work. And I think, like you said, it's very subjective to what stories you like and don't like. But, and trust me, there's, as you can attest to, there's stories that I'm not too fond of that they've put out in some of the books and stuff like that. But, I'm never going to say I like everything from Star Wars, but I will say I'm glad I've got so much to choose from.
I know. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's a good time. It's still a good time to be a Star Wars fan. It's still, because it's going in the right direction, I do believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's going to be extremely interesting too in a couple of years when we get our next movie. Like that's really going to.
I do think it's going to be pretty. I don't want to say feel different, but it'll be for the new audience. It'll be for the new generation.
It will be. It'll be a new chapter for sure. I feel like and it can't get here soon enough. I think it's something that I really think it's something that we need. I think we need. Disney Plus is great. We look forward to that every week whenever it does come out, and but there's nothing like going to a movie, man. Going to see a Star Wars movie, it's, I don't know. It's just a different experience. It's one that we've always, I mean, most of us, that's all we know of Star Wars was when it was just the movies, So, anyway, that's some good stuff there. I will say real quick, I wasn't in my notes, but I just remembered that I saw on Twitter that somebody released an updated aerial shot of the Star Wars hotel experience that's getting finished. Like the landscaping just got put down, so it's like it's still getting there, and it's apparently still opening in 2021. So
that's still shocking.
Yes,
that it could open that early. I don't know.
I would say it's probably going to be late 2021.
Yeah, so. December 31st.
Yeah,
Told you.
Right. Okay, so some brief announcements on upcoming releases, as we do here. Novels. You got the Dr. Aphra adaptation from the audio drama into novel form. That's happening April 6th. You got the next Thrawn Ascendancy book, Greater Good, coming out April 27th. And you got Rising Storm, the High Republic novel from Cavan Scott, coming June 29th. Comics yesterday, which was Wednesday the 10th. You've got Star Wars number 12 dropped, and you got Bounty Hunters number 10 dropping next week. So that's still going on. High Republic is also still running. Number 3 came out last week. So if you're into High Republic comics, that's out. That's ongoing, also out there right now. So go read some Star Wars stuff. Okay. All right. So our main topic is us, is a little bit about us. Just want to kind of, in a sense, reintroduce us a little bit, but just kind of talk about us a little bit for those of you that maybe haven't gone back to listen to all the shows that we've done. And you've obviously if you're listening consistently to the podcast feed, you've all of a sudden started hearing these different types of shows that we're doing. So I wanted to kind of talk through those a little bit about the ideas behind those. But first and foremost, things you may not have known or remembered, but we actually started this podcast in 2013, I believe, right? March of 2000, like so this month, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa. Are we getting to anniversary time? I think we should be.
Oh my gosh.
Might want to look that up.
I think
it's late March. Episode?
I think it was like late March, probably.
I think it was too.
Spring break. So
we could be coming up on our
8-year
anniversary. Oh my God. So there's that. But the reason why we did this was because of the buyout, right? In late 2012, Disney purchased Lucasfilm and announced that we were getting 7, 8, 9. And at the time I was doing a podcast related to the film company that I have. And, we've been doing short films and web series and stuff like that. And we had started doing some podcasting. And we at that point in time, we were talking about doing some additional podcasts to kind of branch out and build an audience and whatnot. And one of the ones we started was an actual Star Wars one, because we would talk about Star Wars a lot on the other one. We would talk about all kinds of pop culture kind of stuff, TV shows we were watching and movies and stuff like that. But I always thought, well, I wanted to be a little more specific because I'm such a hardcore fan. And some of my co-hosts that, I was doing that show with weren't. They were kind of more reactionary to what I was talking about. So I reached out to Casey, who happens to be my nephew as well, and said, I know how big of a fan he was. And I said, Case, let's do this podcast. I don't know, man. Did you think in 2021 we'd still be doing this thing?
I probably not. Not that I didn't think we were doing it, just didn't think that far in advance. And I looked at the date. It was March 26th.
March 26th. Good. Okay.
So, yeah. No, I remember I was in my dorm when you called me.
You were at college, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was, I never would have thought 8 years would be going strong still. So
yes,
I mean, for podcasts in general, I would say that's a pretty good milestone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And I remember, so the premise when we first started was we wanted to really it's inside the Force, because we wanted to not only talk about offer our insight on all things Star Wars, but we wanted to also be at the time more of an educational channel, in a sense, where we're going to profile different people and places and things. So every episode we would start off by profiling something. And I remember our very first episode was Coruscant. We did Coruscant. We highlighted Coruscant and all the different levels and whatever. But it's weird because what was it? Sometime in 2014, I think it was.
Yeah,
basically that's when
almost a year later.
That's when they announced everything prior to what's from now is non-canon.
Yeah.
So all the profiling that we're doing, because all the information that we were researching was all from the EU, basically, right? Some of it was from movies.
Yeah, they were most of them, with the exception of maybe a few, were all canon, like that, the G canon, like the movies. But they were, but the bulk of what we talked about was all fleshed out in Legends, because you had a few decades of content there, so it was definitely mostly Legends.
Yeah, and I vaguely, I think I remember correctly, but I think of all the people and places that we highlighted, those things are considered canon. It's just that some of the aspects that we talked about are no longer considered canon. But there was one person we talked about that hasn't been canonized, and I don't think he ever will. And that was Garn of Bliss, who was part of the Force Unleashed games and highly involved in the building of the rebellion. Yeah,
he was. I mean, he was a lot in the Legends materials as well. I read about him a lot in several of the books. So he was a big character through multiple eras of Star Wars, and so. There were some other ones, like I think we did Darth Plagueis, so he's a canon character, but there's like virtually nothing.
Right.
Now, or back then there were books, so it's like he's been whittled down to virtually now a footnote in the story.
Yeah, that's right.
Same with like Darth Bane. So there's it definitely, it was exciting because it definitely put everybody pretty much on the same footing. I read a bunch of EU books at that time, and I had a bunch that I still bought and was on my shelf to read. I was over halfway through the new Jedi Order, and so it's like, well, I've still got all these books. I'm not going to probably read them, even though they're still good stories, and you should still read them. But now I've got to switch gears and start reading these new books, so to keep up with new canon.
That's right.
It's an interesting time.
I'm highly surprised that the Garm has not been canonized or ever been introduced.
He's a good character, no, it's surprising. I mean, you could say that part of his character has kind of been splintered off into others, but he served a good, important role, especially in kind of the early Thrawn era too. He had a good role in some of those books, but yeah, no more.
Because he was responsible in the EU, in a way. He was responsible for supplying the ships for the rebellion. You had Bail, who was supplying the funds. You had Mothma, who was kind of the leader, but then you had Garm, who was supplying the weaponry in a sense. In the ships, I think so.
Yeah.
It was a pretty neat, combination between the three of them, and it made sense that the three of them would form this rebellion. So, it would have been really neat to see someone like him pop up, like when in Rogue One, when they had all the rebellion leaders around the table there. And, I kind of envisioned him popping up and something like that. And one of those people that are around could easily be representing what he stood for,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So, we're doing this podcast ourselves throughout the years, and it's all been just a podcast. It has only been, and we've gone through some changes, obviously, as far as our format. We no longer were doing the profiling anymore. Mainly what we do now is basically we analyze the news break those things down, offer our insights, offer our opinions about those things. We try to stay away. We'll mention rumors. We'll try not to really get into too much of the rumors. We really like talking mainly official released news or castings and stuff like that. But, of course, you can't help it whenever you hear some crazy rumors or some rumors that sound really good that we talk about. But we obviously will offer our reviews on things, networks, TV shows, and movies. If we've gone through a novel or something like that, we'll talk about that. But we also have a different platform now where we do that, which I'll talk about in a second. But and then our main thing is that we usually have a discussion topic at the end of each episode where we really dive into usually something from the news, and we dive deeper into, or maybe it's a concept that Casey and I have been kicking around throughout the week, or maybe it's some other story that pops up that we want to get into. So, I don't know. It's been, I feel like it's good discussion. I see comments from people that say they enjoy our conversations about those things and those discussions about those things. So, but we're open to, any suggestion, obviously, if anybody, we don't really get that many questions, I guess, or comments. Yeah. We get some comments here and there, but, we do get some questions on our social, but usually they're answered right away through social and not really through the show.
Yeah.
So, but, I will say one thing that I feel like if there's one thing that I feel like we've lacked or that we were behind on, I feel like is our social media. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, it's hard for me in our lifestyles right now. I feel like it's funny because I get on there and I usually get my news on Twitter. Yeah. And I rarely get on Facebook.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Right. But I know that's something we should be doing more of, and I want to do more of that, and I want to do more postings and stuff like that. But it's just, it's difficult with everyday life, and I know that's not that big of an excuse. But this is what we do, and we talk about stuff like this. So it's hard to get on there and just do social, right? But that's probably one of the things that we haven't done a lot of over the years. We do get asked a lot. We did some commentaries over the years of the films. We got one the other day that said, "When are you guys doing Rise of Skywalker? When are you guys doing Solo?" So we will get to those again at some point. And I will say, typically over the years, Casey and I have always done our show mainly, unless you've been, there's a time when you lived a little further away from me.
Yeah.
But typically we do our show in the same room together, which I think has been always nice because we can keep the audio quality high. We can play off each other a lot easier, I feel like, than just doing it over video and stuff like that. But we've had to adapt because everybody had to adapt when the pandemic happened. So we went to this format right now, which helped a little bit of what we started doing, which was last year, really started to do a YouTube channel.
Right.
Well, I would say right before the pandemic, we started videoing our podcast.
Yeah.
And the only thing on YouTube at the time was our podcast. But I thought, you know what, we need to expand this a little bit. So what other things could we do? And so we came up with this concept of these 4 different types of shows. And I'll let you dive in here and talk about a couple of these cases. But my concept with these, because I want to talk about this now because we just released our first episode of our 4th kind of playlist series that we do. We call Masters of the Order. So now we have all of them going in a sense, right? So the concept, which is, look, again, no one would get this unless I explain this, which I'm about to, right? So the Jedi Order, which is what we here at Inside the Force kind of gravitate towards, I feel like, right? We're diving into opening all these holocrons, right? And getting into that knowledge of the Star Wars galaxy. So the Jedi Order, for those of you who don't know or remember, it's comprised of actually 4 different councils. So you have the High Council, you have the Council of First Knowledge, you have the Council of Reconciliation, and you have the Council of Reassignment, right? So the High Council is obviously the one that we see in the movies. They're the 12 masters that deal with incidences and problems as they come up. The First Knowledge is the kind of the archives where they collect all of the history and everything. And there's members that sit on that council that designate those things. Reconciliation is where they deal with planetary disputes. So it's not just the High Council dealing with all problems. This is specific to certain planetary disputes or problems that are going on certain planets, and those members deal with that. So there's specific issues, right? And then you have the Council of Reassignment, which is Padawans that do not get knighted, that fall out of the training of the Jedi. They get reassigned as something else in the Order. So they don't become Jedi Knights, but they do help out within the Order, holding other duties that the Jedi Order asks of them. So those are the 4 councils. That's why you have those 4 spires, right, around the central tower of the council at the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
So of course, Casey, inside the Force, we are the High Council, right? This is where me, you, Cody, now being a series regular on this show now, we talk about all aspects of what's going on in Star Wars, right? So then we've got the I'll let you describe, because I think you described it really well in the description of council, what council sessions is on our show.
Yeah, so council sessions. I mean, it really is just I guess in a nutshell, we do briefly explain it on the actual playlist on our website, but like even more of maybe a nutshell, we are unpacking, you could say maybe controversial, not always controversial, but, those bigger questions, deeper questions, still kind of bite-sized, 30 minutes-ish, 15 to 30 minutes. We don't do like a full hour, or, sometimes some shows go even longer, but, it's really unpacking could be a disputed question. So, we've done some about Clone Wars, like we did the first couple, but, kind of those big, I don't know, easy kind of cliche. It's like, who's the greatest Jedi? But we unpack it using evidence and stories. So we still approach it very academically with good reasoning. So it is that aspect of the council just really putting their minds, their knowledge together to answer the galaxy's toughest questions. And so we sometimes try to keep it we don't I don't know. I mean, it's pretty we don't get into big debates. We don't get but we don't always agree on it, but there are some good conversations out of that. I know, like we did I did one with Cody about, is Legends better than canon, which can be, depending on who you're talking to, it could be a pretty hot topic, but
yes, it could get heated.
Yeah, and I know I like, even this episode I talk about how sometimes old new canon kind of has its, like I said here, gets its legs cut out from under them. But so it's it's kind of stuff like that, just It's always, I don't think we've ever done more than 2 people on it, but it's just unpacking a very big question in the galaxy of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's yeah, you hit it right, because right now it's kind of been described as a one-on-one debate, right? There's a question out there, and each person is answering it, and like you said, the settlement is who's right or who's wrong or who's got the better answer, kind of thing, So, so it is right now been a one-on-one show. I am beginning to reach out. I want to get other people involved in this, and mainly other Star Wars podcasts involved, so we can have some good debates and talk to some other shows. We are starting that process to get that. So anyway, Council Sessions is our Council of Reconciliation, right? It's the one that deals with those planetary issues, those galaxy-wide specific issues that are happening in the galaxy. So that's what that is. So, and then you've got Beyond the Saga, right? Okay, so what are we doing with Beyond the Saga?
That one's, I love the logo for this one, a little book icon. I mean, that one's, unpacking as kind of the name suggests, beyond the expanding universe, or not beyond the expanding universe, but unpacking the expanding universe that is beyond typically the Skywalker saga.
Right.
So, not to say that, obviously a lot of the expanding universe still deals with the Skywalkers, but really beyond the movies and beyond the shows. So it's books and comics and even games. I know you and Hannah did a Fallen Order one. So that's a good one, because we don't always have time to fit a review in for the show. So it's good to have this kind of like a spin-off, I guess you could say, review show where again it's like 30-minute ish shows to unpack one story. And so
right,
those are always good, because there's always plenty of content to talk about now. I mean, there's now we're getting into, especially with High Republic, I mean, there's plenty more content, and we'll never be short of discussing expanding universe, because it's always going to be expanding. But it's that's a good one too. I mean, for people who aren't quite into that world, I mean, I think it's a good place to get your feet wet, because it is, again, a smaller format. I know the guys over at Utini with the Living Force podcast do an amazing job at really diving incredibly deep into all these stories, canon and legends. But so if you're really looking to immerse yourselves into just every aspect you can think of, and these guys do a great job at that, it would be on a saga is a good way to kind of open the door with again like a 20-30 minute show of that is a pretty solid review. So if you're wanting to get into the expanding universe, that's the canon expanding universe, not legends.
That's right.
Then Beyond the Saga certainly is your place to go.
Yes.
And it's not always. I mean, like right now, I know you guys are doing some of the Vader stories, or you have done some of the Vader stories. So, we'll go back and do some stuff that's already been out for a couple of years. It doesn't always have to be the newest and most recent story. They're evergreen. You can watch them any order. As with all these shows, you don't have to watch any of them.
That's right.
In any order.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think this show Inside the Force is more current, right? What's happening right now. But with Council Sessions, Beyond the Saga, and Masters, which we'll talk about in a second, is you can. The plan is to really get into those at any point. Yeah, they're evergreen topics. And just to reiterate what you said on Saga, we definitely want right now it's been me and Hannah. Of course, we will open it up to anybody that wants to be on the show as well. But Hannah's done a great job because she is a big reader and she reads a lot of the novels, reads the comics. So she's helped a lot joining us and helping with that part of the show. And she comes on our show here a few times. And the big key to this too, just like Casey said, it's a good introduction to these stories because we will not spoil anything. We definitely try to keep the story, spoiler free, so you can still go enjoy it and be surprised on and things like. Because we have talked about things that we want to say, but we can't say it because it would spoil the main story. So it is a spoiler free review in a sense, but it's a deep dive also into how it does contribute to your perception of other stories and other stories of characters. Because I think that's a big thing of what's happening with these. Yeah,
absolutely.
These books, right? Is especially these comics, right? You're reading comics about Luke and Vader and Boba Fett and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, these have impacts on these characters, So it is a good deep dive. So in relation to the Jedi councils, this is our Council of Reassignment, right? So it's not the main Jedi Order, it's not the main saga, but it's all the stories and everything that's outside of that, which is reassigned, right? So
reassigned to different mediums, I guess.
Reassigned to different mediums, exactly.
You're going to be a book. You're going to be a movie.
You're going to be a game.
Yeah.
So that's that. So our final council is this new series that we just launched this week called Masters of the Order. And our first guest was Mark Thompson. If you missed it, it's literally the episode on your playlist before this on the podcast. Or if you go to our YouTube channel, it's the first one there under Masters of the Order. And with this one is basically we're wanting to talk directly to creators that have contributed directly to Star Wars projects, right? I know there's a lot of people that have guests on that talk about Star Wars, totally great content. But the goal is to find people that have actually worked on projects to kind of get not just an insight on the project they're working on, but an insight on just the whole process. And of course, what Star Wars means to them, how Star Wars has changed their life by working on this stuff. I got some great topics from Mark. I just talked to, like I said earlier, to Claudia Gray today. That episode will be out here soon. Also got some great insight on her about some things. And so anyway, I think hopefully it gets bigger and we can talk to obviously bigger, not bigger. Here's the thing. I actually really want to talk to a lot of the people that you actually don't hear from much, right? Which are the sound designers, the visual effects people, the production managers, the whatever, it's like anybody that's, because, both Casey and I we're in the production world right now with our jobs, and we've done a lot of filmmaking over the years, and, there's a lot of people that contribute to stuff like this, not just the actors you see or the directors you hear about, or the producers and stuff like that. But there's a lot of people that are involved in these things, writers and managers and all this stuff. So everybody has a perception of working on something. And I'd love to hear, we just want to capture that and kind of share that stuff. It's almost, for a long time, we Casey and I went back and forth on the name of this thing because we kept kind of hovering around something about a certain point of view, right? Or from this point of view or viewpoint, so it's like, that's kind of the idea. Is we wanted different points of view for working on a Star Wars project, but ultimately, again, tying back to the councils, these are the Jedi Masters, right? That are working on these things, and I will say I'm proud of the description that I wrote of this, which is we all, most of us dream of traveling to that galaxy far, far away and working in that galaxy far, far away. Well, some of us have actually been there, right? So those are the people that we're trying to talk to, and bringing it back to the councils. This is pretty definitive. The Council of First Knowledge, right? The people that have the actual knowledge of working on these projects. And so anyway, 4 councils, 4 shows that represent those councils. That's what we have on our YouTube channel. And I actually thought, Casey, I don't know if I even shared this with you, but at some point we need to probably cut like a trailer for the channel to kind of explain what this is on there. So I'll be working on that at some point and getting that out there. So, but of course we'll also on the channel, you'll find our commentaries for the films that we have done. We'll keep trying to do those. We made some fan trailers. I might still try to work on some of those. And who knows, there'll be other things that kind of pop up there, but those 4 main things that we just talked about, those are kind of what's driving the channel. And it's all about discussions. It's all about, in fact, we've gotten comments from people that say, we love the channel. We love the discussions that happen. It's not just random thoughts and, dissections of news and stuff like that. It's really topics that are oriented towards really diving into what's happening in Star Wars. So, I don't know. Feel good about where we've come. I mean, feel like we've evolved with the ever-changing landscape of Lucasfilm and Star Wars. And I don't know. Case, you feel good about where we're at?
Totally. Reminiscing while we've been talking, even our logo has changed. We rebranded a couple, 2-3 years ago now, which was a good move. I was trying to think even the format of our show. Like for a while, we were doing the trivia at the end of the show. Do you remember that? And we quizzed our guests. But we used this book that was like super complicated anyways, even for us. It would get to like the most detailed of detail that you can possibly think of. And that was a lot of fun. But none of us, I don't think, had a perfect score. But it was, so we've gone through a lot of different changes, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a good ride. For sure. Even a website's gone over a couple different rebrands.
And I'm planning on doing it again soon. And then, of course, I guess definitely the highlights too have been that we've been able to do our show at Celebration a couple times. And we've gone to Celebration together several times. And we've and the thing about it is not just with Masters of the Order, but like we've had some great guests on the show. We've talked to Tom Kane. We've talked to David Collins, Steve Bloom, Greg Grunberg. It's been fantastic to get the people we have. Not even putting, trying to put as much effort as I can into it, but hopefully with this Masters of the Order, I've already got a couple other guests lined up for that I don't want to speak too far ahead of, but we got some great guests coming for that, and hopefully we just keep growing there and collaborating with some other shows and stuff like that. So I don't I tell you what, it actually doesn't feel like we've been doing it for that long.
Not at all. 8 years sounds like a very long time. I mean, that
it does. It's older than my youngest daughter.
Yeah, I mean, older than my marriage, but not older than how long I've been with my wife. So
right.
But it coincides. So I think I started actually dating her a year before we did the show. So not quite as long.
Yeah, I see. My daughter was 3 when we started, and then my youngest was born a couple years later. So and we started this in a different house. I was in a different house. You were in a dorm, like you said. Yeah. But you were coming to my house.
Yeah, just 20 minutes away. So I just drove. And on the weekends, I just come home.
That's
do
right.
The show.
Yeah. So anyway, this is 323 shows in. It's been fun. I act like we're stopping. We're not stopping. It will continue to be fun, and we've got a lot more Star Wars to talk about. So, so anyway, that's just wanted to kind of talk about us a little bit, and if anybody had any, if they didn't have any background on that, that's what that is, and we hope
if you're a first time listener, say hi.
Yes,
reach out.
Yes, so obviously you can catch us on all the podcast feeds out there. There's links on our website, YouTube. Everything that's on the feeds is on YouTube now. With these 4 shows, basically these 4 shows will be on the feeds. So please go subscribe or go and hit that subscribe button on anything you're wanting to listen to. I'll just mention this. For the longest time, we've stayed away from anything like Patreon or anything like that. We have talked about it. We may do something like that. And look, it's not going to be anything where we're asking for a lot. It might just be some small tiers, but we might talk. We talked about doing some exclusive content on there. But it's really still in discussions. We don't really know. We haven't, for some reason, really gone down that road. I know a lot of people do, but we'll see. Of course, I am also part of the Mandalore Podcast, which is kind of on hiatus right now because there's no Mandalore. But please go listen to that. We do really deep dives into the Mandalore episodes, a lot more than what we do here because we try to keep these show within an hour. And I know with Martin, we get on a long tangent on stuff on there and deep dive into those things like that. So those are a little longer, but we do plan on doing some of these other shows, I think, that pop up, on there. I think we are going to talk maybe a little bit about Bad Batch when that comes out. Maybe not each week, but maybe a collection of shows. So the Mandalore Podcast, if you want, you can go subscribe there too. And then just be on the lookout for more council sessions beyond the Saga, Master Universe with Casey and I, and of course Hannah and Cody are big contributors now to Inside the Force. So
I think you said Masters of the Universe, which we might get in trouble.
Did I say that?
You might have. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, Masters of the Order! Wow.
Well, we could do. Might get in trouble. We can try Masters of the Universe.
Masters of the Universe.
That's our
Which
spoiler.
I was a big fan of.
That's our new fan show. Yeah, that's our new show.
That's right. Wow. Masters. I love Masters Universe. That's actually an animated series coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
By Kevin Smith, actually.
Yeah.
So can't wait for that to come out, actually. Anyway, Masters of the Order, Council Sessions, Beyond the Saga, and of course our main show here, Inside the Force. So and there's no and I will say this too, there's no schedule. We're we're doing them as we go. I'm trying to put out 2 or 3 a week, maybe different combinations, so mainly 2 a week, but we may get into 3 if if the content's there. It just, so don't get used to like, oh, we're going to be every Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something like that.
Be on your toes, people.
Yes. So it's just going to be there.
Yeah.
So keep refreshing.
It comes when you need it.
And look for, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because I post it every time, definitely, that we release a show. We've tried to be on a schedule, but it's just tough, So, and Casey's got, just a reminder, Casey's got some Skywalker twins of his own coming.
I've got a Force dad coming, and honestly, it could be anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. Who knows?
Yes.
It's with twins. It's so it could be. It's early, so it could be really early, which may not be good, or a little early, which will be pretty much normal.
Yes. So
my world's gonna grow.
Yep.
A whole lot.
So needless to say, Casey will be on maternity leave for a little while.
Yeah.
From the show. So we'll have to do our best without him, and I'm sure we'll get some people like Cody to step in and hang out for a little while. But yeah, you're pretty much gonna be gone during Bad Batch, when Bad Batch comes out.
Oh. Yeah, they'll be still little newborns.
I mean, they'll be here by then. I hope, right?
And it's so funny because their actual on paper due date is May 5th.
Yes,
but we'll see.
Will they be born May the 4th?
That's highly unlikely. It's going to be probably sometime in April, but you never know, man.
Never know. No. And and their names aren't Luke and Leia, unfortunately, no matter how much I've tried. Their name, what'd you name them?
Miles and Maddie. So it is boy and girl.
Yeah.
So again, if boy and girl twins born on May the 4th, I don't know what's going to happen.
I will call them Luke and Leia.
Yeah, I mean, it's just probably going to be their nicknames. So Miles and Madeline. Maddie for short.
Nice. Yep.
All right. So, so lots of changes coming, but a lot more Star Wars content coming, a lot more shows from us coming. So we hope you enjoy what we're offering. And again, they can comments on iTunes, or not iTunes anymore. It's Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast platform. Any comments would help. We also have a Facebook group if you want to join that. Go to facebook.com/inside the force. Well, facebook.com/inside the force is our page. If you go to the groups and look up Inside the Force, we're there. Just get in there, answer a couple questions, get in on the discussions there. We'd really appreciate it. So again, thank you for everybody for listening. And I know because I still get comments from people that have listened to us from the beginning, and I can't believe you're still with us. Thank you. But again, thank you for those that have found us, and thank you for those that keep commenting, interacting with us, and spreading the love of the show. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's really the only reason why we keep doing this. I mean, as long as there's somebody listening, we'll keep going. And so anyway, it's been great, and it's continues to be great, and we'll do our best to keep the positivity of Star Wars too out there.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
No negative. I mean, of course, we're not going to like everything, but we're not going to bash anything either. So. Right. So thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you guys listening and hanging with us all these years, and we've got a lot more to go. So, for Casey Cooley.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.